Peer pressure. Okay. Just like the noise.
There's a few good ones, but I think the funniest, the most laughing I've had was when I brought Melissa to meet my grandparents, and Grandma could see in her eyes that, you know, we had a couple beers the night before or whatever, and Grandma just like sat Melissa down and just like held her head back and just getting eye drops and just started nailing eye drops into her face. And I was crying from laughing. Melissa's just tearing and getting eye drops into her face, and it was just ridiculously funny.
I guess the best time we ever had was when we spent time in Vernon with Edna and Ralph. And they were so welcoming and so open and a hell of a lot of fun. And we used to let our hair down.
My favorite memory is how she always could remember everything that was important to me that then became important to her. She remembered about my mom, my sisters, my nephew when he was little. She always remembered what a big kid he was and always asked about him, even though she probably knew she would never see him again. But she had a memory that was just second to an elephant.
My mother's dancing.
Yeah. Yes.
Probably every time she saw you, her face would light up. She would just get this total glow about her. And so as soon as she see you, just that look that she'd give you.
My favorite memory of my mother is hanging out for her birthday at Sparkling Hills in Vernon. We went for dinner and lunch and had massages and hung out. It was really fun.
I remember, it must have been 2 or 3 years ago, we were up in the area, we were camping at Oyama Lake, and not the most accessible place. It's lots of iffy forestry roads and whatnot, and she came up. Dad brought her up, and she just spent the day with us there at the, had a little cabin there, and Joshua was there, and it was just a really, really nice day.
My mother was better than anybody at holidays. So Easter bunnies, Santa Clauses, decorations, all that stuff, she made it magic for us kids.
So the first time that I met her was in Airdrie. Wayne was trying to sell the place, and it was just really nice. It was like really awesome to meet grandparents that were so welcoming, and I never, like, my grandparents were deaf, so we didn't really talk much.
I met Edna 5 years ago, and it was only in the last year of her life that I really got to know her. So what I admired about her is her almost childlike ability to see the joy in the smallest of things. Mm-hmm. And I admired that in her.
Mm-hmm. She got a lot of joy out of the little things. So certainly didn't have lots in her life, but certainly enjoyed the little things where, whether it was a steak or a roast or those kind of things. So she got a lot of joy out of those kind of things, especially with family.
Her excitement when my dad came to pick her up in his car, which was this 57 Chev Blue. She was so excited to get a ride. She was super stoked, and it was just lovely to see the joy on her face.
And my grandmother taught me how to tell time. And she sat with me for hours, and she had a clock, and she would move the dials around, and she'd say, you know, what time is this? And she said, if you get this right, I'm going to give you this calculator. And she had an old, I'm going to say Texas Instrument calculator at that time, 80 what? I don't know, early 80s. So, you know, the big calculator, and I did it, and she gave me this calculator, and I carried it around with me, and I loved it. And that's just a small memory.
My favourite memory of Edna Armstrong was way back early in the piece when I was a milkman in Calgary, and it was about 1974, I guess. And her and I were sitting on the front stoop at 176 Hendon Drive. We're having a smoke. She smoked. So I'm having a smoke, and she's asking me, "What's your intentions, Rob Smith?" And I went, "I want to marry your daughter." She went, "Okay." She said, "Okay." Have another drink. And then she gave me some nice advice.
When I was a little guy, and I remember this. So when you lived on Hendon Drive, we had grass and an edging and a sidewalk. And of course, in the edging was some dirt. And I remember one time when my mom was in the hospital, I went out there, and it was quite small, went out there, and I dug a pansy out of this little area. And then I gave it to Mom in the hospital. It was really sweet. But really surprised me. This is one thing that moms always do. They cherish moments like this, right? And she was in the hospital for quite a while. When she came back, she had the pansy with her.
My favorite memory of my mom was when we were kids and we go for picnics at Riley Park and played tag. Mom played with us.
I think my favorite memory of Edna is her wicked laugh. She loved to laugh, loved to crack jokes, some of them silly jokes, some of them corny jokes, but she loved joking around.
Edna Armstrong.
Several
Good memories. One of my favorite memories was getting up. I'd go to visit them, hang out with them in summer. We'd wake up, and she'd settle us down, some cereal, whatever. Then we'd go hang out with Grandpa, watch Price is Right. She'd give us food, she'd give us coffee. That was when we were really young. And then as we grew older, 11 or 12 years old or whatever, then the evenings started having beers, which was always great. It was always good. I think those were some of my favorite memories.
My favorite memory was when we were all visiting on Vancouver Island, and we were just having this great visit, and then she was playing with Max, and then he took his first couple steps toward her, and just the joy on her face, and it was wonderful. Definitely my favorite memory.
I'm a reflexologist, so when she wanted to have my reflexology, I just did it to her, and she was so appreciated. And when she was in pain, or she had a psoriasis, so she asked me to put oil on her whole body. I was so honored, she was so open to me, and I felt her love and acceptance.
She once taught me a card trick years and years ago and told me to always remember this card trick and show everybody you know. And I can do the card trick today.
We were at Roster's for my dad's birthday. And at Roster's you get free wings for the number of years that it's your birthday. It was wonderful. Bunch of family, bunch of friends, it was great. And Mom decided to tell the waitress her tattoo joke.
Oh, yeah.
And it was absolutely fantastic. She had that waitress fall in love with her after the joke. We laughed till we cried, and it was just wonderful.
It's just the good company and hanging out and just bullshitting.
Oh, God. Her laugh. Her wisecracks. Right?
I don't think I'm ever going to miss anything about her, because everything that was beautiful in her lives on in every one of her kids.
So fantastic.
I don't need to miss her because we still have her.
As my mom and my dad dancing together.
Yes, beautiful.
Just hearing her laughter, just that contagious sound that came out of that woman.
Is talking to her at exactly 10 o'clock Alberta time on Sunday or 9 o'clock BC time. We had a conversation every week, and the first thing we talked about was the weather in honor of my dad.
Just a really positive woman and very strong in a lot of ways, you know, a strong character.
No, just seeing her face. That's all.
Good. Thank you.
Her sense of humor.
I had the opportunity to spend a lot of time with her in the last months of her life, and it was just the two of us, and we were able to talk, and we laughed, and we cried, and yeah, I loved her.
Probably that she's not around for my wife to talk to every Sunday.
Well, I think the biggest, hardest thing is that I would have liked her to have some more time with Nova.
And what I'm going to miss about my grandmother, besides everything, is how honest she was with me.
The way all her kids, when there's some sort of dance on, they just all get up and they all go.
Very compassionate, loving, understanding, and quite tolerant in a lot of things.
Absolutely.
Absolutely quite tolerant. Oh, what a wonderful mom. And I'm going to miss her deeply.
Her sense of fashion. Mom's sense of fashion, especially her paisley palazzo pants, right?
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff. She had a wonderful sense of fashion.
Edna always loved her cream puffs. That was her favorite dessert, were cream puffs. So I made cream puffs for this memorial service.
Her laugh, her warm personality.
Yeah.
I'll miss her warmth and how funny she was. She was just such a great woman.
My name's meaning is precious girl, and for her and for actually father-in-law, it's hard to pronounce Takako. So actually, she's not calling me Takako, but instead of that, she called me my precious.
I'll miss going to her house, and she always made me toast with peanut butter in the morning, just having, breakfast with Grandma, and just her warm smile, and definitely her good nows.
Because I got to be with Mom for quite a few years at the end of her life. I got to run her around. We got to, go out for breakfasts, and, I'd take her shopping. And we would toast Dad, and I would see her, 5 days a week at least. And I miss that. I don't know why, but I do. Probably because I loved her so much.
Hi, Sprout. Hi, Sprout. Oh, yeah.
You get lots of pictures, Marty.